I thought making the Olympics, I was going to be good enough, I was going to be acceptable, I was going to feel good about myself. And so when I had that experience after the Olympics, it pushed me to think that I had to be more perfect, that I had to succeed more.
Sarah Straton, thank you for joining Jo and I today. We are so looking forward to this conversation.
I'm so happy to be here with you.
To kick it off, what's a key challenge in your life that's actually played a very significant role?
Oof. Yeah, something that spans all of my challenges, and that's the perfectionism that I've lived with for a long, long time. And it's really impacted how I showed up in my sporting career and then in my business, and just feeling somehow everything had to be perfect in order for me to be okay. And so I think there was that fear, the fear of not belonging or not being accepted. And so then there's this idea, oh, well, if I achieve this thing and I don't feel comfortable, don't feel confident, then obviously I haven't achieved enough. So I need to do more. And that's where the perfectionism kicked in a little bit.
From your point of view, when did you first notice that?
I didn't notice it, to be honest. I think I noticed it when it was pointed out. I was actually listening to a podcast, and it was a perfectionism expert, and he was talking about people who can't enjoy their successes, always looking for the next thing, always feeling you can't start things because everything's not in place, and then feeling like you can't finish them. And that was, oh, is he talking about me? Has he been following me around? I was like, oh my goodness, that's so me. And that was what got me to think, oh, I really do have that perfectionism. I've been working on it, and I'm a lot further along than I used to be. I've noticed it even a week ago when there was some events outside that really were causing me to feel stressed and under-resourced. I found that I was a little more reactive, and I went down that perfectionism path.
And so we noticed that coming up for you, Sarah. Do you do things differently now that you recognise that?
I'm more aware of the signs now, and usually it's that avoidance, that I'm procrastinating. Why am I not doing that thing that I said that I really wanted to do? And usually it's things that are public facing. I find for me that things that are improvised or off the cuff and I'm not expected to be prepared for, I'm fine with. But like when I have to produce a piece of work, I remember when I was in grad school doing my master's, and I just found myself procrastinating like crazy. And then when you get to the end, you get to like the night before or whatever, and I definitely pulled a lot of all-nighters, which I did at uni too when I was in my undergrad. It's almost like, oh, well, there's an excuse because I didn't start till really late. So it'll be okay if I don't get a great mark or if I don't produce a perfect piece of work. I know that it's gotten in the way too of my business. Like I was thinking, oh, yeah, I could go out there and create Instagram reels or do short videos to just support the parents out there. And then I went to do it. I was like, oh, it's almost like this is my perfect piece of work. Like it took me so long to record one video. Just the idea having to be perfect rather than just being okay with good enough.
Is it around other people's expectations as well as your own expectations? Is that what's driving some of that perfection?
And that's a really good question. I came from a family where there is very much a right way to do things, right? A right way and a wrong way. And if I had an idea that was off the path or creative or different, it was, well, that's not the right way to do things, is it? And so it was almost bringing me back to you have to do it right or there's something wrong with you. There was no option for being creative or getting off the path.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that then became self-imposed, but I think it's just that belief that there was a right way of doing things, and that somehow if I didn't do it the right way, that I wouldn't be successful, or maybe I would be judged.
How did you determine what was the right way?
That's a really good question. And because one of the challenges is there is advice that is 180 degree, so sure, if you do it this way, you'll be successful. If you do it the other way, you'll be unsuccessful. And then you've got other advice, another book or another podcast. Oh no, you can absolutely, you'll fail if you do it that way. So you have to do it this way. And I would poll the audience. I would ask everyone's opinion. And I really struggled making decisions because I just didn't believe in myself. I've been doing a lot of work more recently, really trying to get in touch with my intuition and my preferences and figuring out, what do I like? What do I want? And trusting myself a little bit more.
That's a big piece if you think about it, because for so long we've all listened to a lot of other people, and it's not easy to come into the heart and go with your intuition and your sense of what is the best way forward for you. So what are some of the ways that you've explored connecting with that intuition?
Well, first it's noticing my avoidance. It's noticing my unwillingness to make a decision. And then it's really looking at it and going, oh, what would I say? Rather than noticing no temptation to ask other people. I was doing a course, and one of the things the leader was asking us to do, she had all these different colored pencils, different brands. She said, pick the best one. Pick the best one. You're going to be your choice, what you think is the best one. And she said, just start noticing when you're walking down the street, why are you choosing to be on that side of the street instead of the other? Why did you choose to pause there? And being more aware of my own just preferences and just starting to trust that I have an opinion and it matters. I'm allowed to stand up and say, I want that, or I don't want that. Whereas I feel like I had for so many years, it was all about pleasing other people.
So now that you're beginning to do that, are you noticing anything else?
I'm also noticing the feelings that I'm having when I'm avoiding. It doesn't automatically happen. I noticed that I clicked on that link and played that game, or I noticed that I had wanted to do whatever work and I went off and read an article in the paper. Not that it's on paper anymore, it's all digital. It's about noticing, and I'm not always successful, but trying to sit with the feeling and notice, oh, this is what uncertainty, doubt, avoidance, this is what that feels like. And realize that I don't have to avoid that feeling, that it's okay to be uncomfortable.
Now that you're beginning to notice these thoughts and come in touch with your preferences, going back to your journey, building up to the Olympics and building up to all of that experience, would you do things differently? What would that look like?
Yeah, I would do things differently. I, for sure, was doing things for other people and for validation. Like, I didn't have that sense of who I was outside of my sport, outside of my achievements. I didn't have that. And so my sense of self-worth was just completely entangled with everything that I was achieving. And so, like I mentioned earlier, as I was achieving, I didn't feel good about myself. I mean, I felt relief after I achieved something, but then it was like, oh, I need to do more, obviously. And even the Olympics, I feel like there was so much excitement and appreciation and joy from making the team. And then we didn't do well. We didn't actually end up winning a game. It was a double elimination tournament, and we were the 22nd seed playing the number 3 seed. And we lost to the number 3 seed and we lost to the number 10 seed. And we played really well. But by the end of the Olympics, it was like, oh, that hope and that excitement of maybe this is the time. We switched to like, oh, I didn't win a medal, didn't do very well. And so then every time after the Olympics, if someone heard that I went, the first question was always, did you win a medal? I stopped telling people. I mean, I didn't tell people anyway, but I really didn't ever talk about it because I think there was almost a shame around it. And I don't know if shame's the word, but yeah, it was just sort of an embarrassment. It was a reminder of what I didn't do instead of an appreciation of what I had done. If I had had the awareness back then, I just think I would have looked at life differently. I would have appreciated myself. I would have understood myself. Hopefully, I would have accepted myself. It's just hard, but when when you're steeped in it, you don't even realize, you're swimming in this pond. It's like, you ask the fish, they don't even realize that they're swimming in the ocean, right?
That's really interesting because I don't know about you, Jo, but if people make the Olympics, then to me they're stars. To get on the team is no easy feat, no matter what happens at the games. So that's a perspective I have. And I can imagine exactly once you've made the team, it's where's the next goal? And that is, I guess, winning matches. How did that experience, or did that experience actually cement or retract your level of perfectionism?
That's a good question. What it did was it fueled it. It really fueled it even more, because it was like this level that I thought was going to be the one. I thought making the Olympics, I was going to be good enough. I was going to be acceptable. I was going to feel good about myself. And so when I had that experience after the Olympics, it pushed me to think that I had to be more perfect, that I had to succeed more. I know now, obviously, 2020 hindsight, it was really challenging. Here we are 24 years later, 25 years later, and I can still feel it, but I feel very different now. I can look back at that and go, isn't that interesting that I felt like that? And I did some work with a young athlete recently, and I recognized her story right away because it pretty much mirrored mine. And I had worked a couple of years ago with another athlete who was a bit of a perfectionist, and I had really empathized with her. But at the time, I was empathizing, but then I was still in it with her. So I didn't really have the perspective of, which I have now, hey, it's so much better on the other side of this. I can empathize with you because I was there, but I've also done the work. And now I know that you don't need to feel like this. You can get through and you can do better. And on the other side, it's sunny out here.
So what was the difference between working with those two young athletes? So the one you was enmeshed in the experience, and now this more recent one where you was standing back. What was the different message that you had for that young athlete?
It was the fact that I'd done my own work. I really believe that I'm good enough. If you'd asked me even a couple of years ago, I don't know that I would have said that I felt okay. I might have walked it up, but I don't know if I really felt it. I got to a certain place in various roles that I've had and where I felt comfortable. So every single new venture felt like, oh, I have to really prove myself. I'm now at a place where I'm going to give everything I have, and I really want to have an impact in various areas in life. But I know that I'm okay, even if my business was a spectacular failure. I know that I'm still okay. That's a huge shift for me.
And that's a huge shift for anyone, Sarah. Tell us more about the turning point. So other than the choosing the pencils, were there other turning points that helped you to be saying that to us today?
I've done a lot of work, a lot of therapy, a lot of supervision. My coach supervisor does a lot of somatic work with me, and just getting me to appreciate the things that I have done and to appreciate myself as a person. There's actually been a lot of self-compassion work too, just being kind to myself and thinking about how I would treat a friend who was in this position. Also, working with parents and raising my own kids, really thinking about what do I want them to experience, and then putting my money where my mouth is. And oh, well, if I want it for them, I really should do it for me too.
And is that as in respect to self-talk that you give yourself?
I think this idea of it's okay to make mistakes, we're all growing and learning, we're all just figuring life out with it's an iterative life, right? We try something and then it doesn't work. And so we check in and we say, oh, I wonder why that happened. And then we move on and we try again. I had that message for my kids, and I had that message for the parents I work with. And yet I still wasn't allowing myself to make mistakes. I was still beating myself up for that.
That's interesting, isn't it? We intellectually know something. It's taking it down to the heart that really creates a difference. We can theorize and we can put it out there, but doing it for ourselves is always a bit tricky. Thinking about how it felt when you were in those times of not feeling good enough, and physically how you felt, what it did to your body, to your thinking, to every aspect, versus now when you think, yeah, I'm good enough. How does that differ for you?
For me, it's when I think that I'm not good enough, when I have that feeling, it's quite contracting. It's almost like there's a weight on me. It's holding me in. And I feel like it's keeping me small. It's like, oh, don't try anything. It's almost overbearing, this weight. And when I feel good enough, it's expansive and light. So it's just like, oh, okay. And there's space then for being curious. There's space for the self-compassion. There's space to have that bird's eye view and be able to just look at situations and go, oh, isn't that interesting? Oh, there you go. You're having that response. I mean, even this situation last week when I was feeling under-resourced and went back to those tendencies, I responded so much faster. Within the few minutes of feeling like that, I was able to pull myself out of it and recognize, oh, this makes sense. You're having that response because you're not in the thinking part of your brain, basically. You're having an emotional response that goes back, it's taking you back to your childhood. It's taking you back to those habits of responding.
Sarah, some people had a similar journey and recognise perfectionism. And as you say, recognise that it can be quite enclosed in, and then experience the other side of perfectionism as more opening. This idea that people are able to name the perfectionism, are you able to wrap it up, give it a name and recognise it?
I have done some of that IFS parts work and looking at that as that being a part of me that was there to help me and keep me safe. I haven't actually given it a name. I think it's just the recognition of there's that part of me. There's that perfectionist part of me, rather than sometimes they talk about like giving it a name. And I know people do that with various parts, like whether it's their anger or whether it's the shame or whatever, but I haven't really done that.
But it sounds like by calling it perfectionism, that's already recognizing it for what it is.
So I'm just interested, I don't know, what's IFS parts work?
It's internal family systems, which is
right.
a guy called Richard Schwartz, I think his name is. And it's really about this idea that we have all these parts of ourselves that are contributing to our responses. And sometimes that perfectionistic part of me will come and take over. He also talks about really embracing all these parts of yourself. And the work is inviting that part and having a conversation with that part and appreciating it for the work it's done for you and letting it know that, hey, I'm good now. You don't have to keep trying to keep me safe in this way. That doesn't work for me. You can just hang out. I don't need you anymore. I love you and thank you so much for taking care of me. And it's okay to not be stepping up anymore.
Sarah, I want to harp back because you mentioned right at the beginning about your parents' belief system of right or wrong, and that's something that you took on board. How much of your upbringing or your parents' belief systems, apart from that wrong-right paradigm, have you unpacked in terms of getting to that point of acceptance?
That's a good question. I'm sure there's a lot because it's all deep, 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 deep stuff. And it's interesting. I think about this right and wrong idea, and I don't know that my parents would say that they would do that. I think it wasn't even what they said. It was more the way they responded to things that didn't go right. I know that one of the beliefs that I've had, and I don't know how much of it was my upbringing, but I'm sure it was from my upbringing, was this idea of not being heard, of just thinking that I should play small and, don't make waves. No one wants to hear that. I'd internalized this idea that shouldn't stand out. And I did a workshop years ago now, actually, but it was about these limiting beliefs. And I remember after doing all the questions and I got to the place of writing down, my voice is important. The world needs to hear what I have to say. And it really did change the way I thought about my role. And that's something actually that I've been thinking about too more recently, is how doubt, uncertainty, fear, insecurity, how it really gets in the way of being able to have an impact, being able to do the things you want to do. Because if I can't get in front of all those people and tell them, run a workshop, give a lecture, even, do an Instagram reel or put something out like my paper out to be published. What I've realized now is that avoiding all those things keeps me really small and limits the impact that I can have and the people that I can help. I don't want to be on my deathbed going, oh, think of all those people that you could have helped if you hadn't been so scared to do a stupid Instagram reel.
Isn't it funny how that word small, and you used the word contracting before when you were feeling perfectionism, and the other word that came to me, the opposite to that, is feeling really free and alive when you're in that state of acceptance, or it's okay, there's not a right or wrong. That's such a beautiful gift to give yourself.
I've realized that who I am is just me. The things that I like and the things that like, the goofy things. I'm not here to have perfect fashion sense. So being really worried about what I'm wearing, what's the point? I'm not here as a fashion icon. But knowing that I don't like my friends because of their fashion sense. I don't love my friends because of the things they've published or the achievements that they've had. And just okay with being me and just knowing it's all part of it. Even acceptance of the perfectionism, acceptance of the regret that I've had for the life I didn't get to live. Regret about not being able to celebrate and enjoy having been an Olympian or being an Olympian, because you don't use it in the past, as I keep getting reminded. There's something to that, of like me accepting that. There's no shame around it. It's like, oh, isn't that interesting that that's where I was? And I can accept and love that part of me that was growing and learning and making silly mistakes and doing things that were out of alignment with my values. But I can still love that part of me and be like, yeah, you're growing and learning. Yep, you messed up. It's all right. But it's definitely taken a long time.
The question is, did you mess up though? Because isn't that part of the fabric of growth? Do we not learn from more things that we get wrong than we get right?
Absolutely.
I always relate to kids walking. How do they learn to walk? By getting up and falling down and getting up and falling down and getting up and falling down. Why
That's
that changes,
so
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sarah, in terms of today, right now, and even though that you know that perfectionism is still part of who you are and you've learnt to accept that as much as other parts, have you used that as any form of motivator, or does it sit in the box where you've just got to be very mindful of it?
Do I think this idea of this perfectionism is motivating me? I don't think it is, actually. I think maybe initially this idea of wanting to do something well, but I do think that this idea of thinking I have to do something perfectly is just not helping me at all. And so it is an awareness. I know that there have been times when maybe the fear of regret has motivated me, of the fear of not having the impact I want to have. Just knowing that when I'm avoiding, what I'm doing is keeping myself small. And the idea of the regret that I will feel later for avoiding is a motivator. And so that fear of the regret that I would have, that definitely motivates me.
And is that the motivator that you want to have?
I don't think I want to be motivated by fear, to be honest. It doesn't sound very healthy. I don't mind there being you would wish you'd done that, so do it because you wish you had. I don't mind having that. I think there does need to be an awareness of both sides, the cost of action and the cost of inaction. So the cost of action is, oh, maybe I'll feel embarrassed. Maybe I won't do it well. Maybe I won't be approved of. Maybe I'll have the learning experience, but thinking, oh, maybe I'll mess it up. So that might be one of the costs of acting and having it not go well. But then there's that cost of inaction, which is the playing small, having regrets. It's that. And me going, what if this happens? If I'm acting and things not going well, but then really going, yes, but what is the cost of inaction? You want to be bold. So what's the cost of not being bold?
The weighing up is where the motivation comes, like being
I think
motivated
so.
by it. In the perfect world, what would you want your motivator to be? What does that look like?
And I love that you said in a perfect world.
Good point.
Well spotted.
I think there would be that freedom to just be excited to move forward without weighing up which is the lesser of two evils, and being able the benefit side. And obviously we've got to be realistic and look at costs. I do think coming from that place of, oh, this is so amazing, this opportunity, and not necessarily having to go, oh, because you'll regret it if you didn't do it.
Have you seen glimpses of that motivator?
I think so. I think it's hard. I haven't really unpacked it that much, but I do think there has been more excitement around those choices. When I get offered opportunities, there has been more, that would be amazing. I want to get out of my comfort zone. I want to build my capacity, if you like, to being able to handle that discomfort. And I want to be able to do that. So I'm excited to do it. I did a webinar yesterday and I said yes. It was a month or two ago when I was asked if I wanted to do it. And I said yes right away. And I was like, this is such a great opportunity. And then, of course, later I was like, oh, what if I don't know anything about this? I've never done this before. I had done a webinar before. I'm more likely to go to that inspiration side, but I do have to check myself. I do have to notice my tendency to, once I get comfortable with something, stay in that comfort zone. It's like, yes, I've expanded my capacity, but then I tend to stay there and go, oh yeah, this is great. This is easy. Why I want to get to a place where this is easy. And then I want to get to a place where this is easy. I have to be really aware of not stepping out, not pushing myself and trying different things.
I love the idea that you were saying is a little bit of recognizing the fear, but face it anyway. And you are wanting to take that next level. There's going to be fear, but I'm going to face it anyway. And that's okay. Is that what's going on for you? And if so, how do you face that fear, but do it anyway?
Love that quote. And I think is that in a book or something? It says, feel the fear, do it anyway.
Susan Jeffers, I think, wrote that book.
Okay. Yes. I remember, I haven't read the book, but I remember seeing the title and hearing about it. And I've used that line because sometimes when I'm avoiding it, I'm obviously afraid. It's like, feel the fear and do it anyway. There is definitely an acknowledgement that I want to be okay trying new things. And I know that the more I do uncomfortable things, the less I'll be worried about doing uncomfortable things, and the more my capacity will expand. That's what happened with me when I took an improv class. I did it because someone told me it would make me a better presenter, and it actually did. But I was really a bit scared to go. And the first couple of times, they make it so welcoming and it is great. But I was nervous. And even just the getting up on stage, I was like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to come across as silly, or I had this self-consciousness about myself and being up on that stage. And then I gradually enjoyed that feeling of, in my stomach, it was butterflies. It wasn't necessarily a pit in my stomach, but it was that similar feeling of, oh, this is exciting and sort of exhilarating. Maybe it was an exhilaration. And I really liked it. And I think me learning to recognize that that feeling that could be taken as fear can actually be exhilaration, and really pushing towards that to expand your comfort zone. That really helped me. It's like, I'm doing this specifically because I'm trying to expand my capacity. I'm doing this hard thing because I want to remind myself that I can do hard things. I was teaching a workshop yesterday, and one of the guys said, you go to the gym not because you love it, but because you hate it. Because he said, if you're going because you hate it, then you're building your capacity. So that's actually a really interesting perspective.
I love that piece around you reframing the butterflies. The sensation in your stomach was there, and rather than saying, I'm really nervous, I'm really anxious, this is fear, you had the feeling and you reframed it into, this is excitement and this is exhilarating.
It's a work in progress.
Aren't we all?
And like I said earlier, they go back to the perfectionism. The improv, there's no preparation. There's nothing, this is this thing that I've been working on and this is my best effort. This is what I came up with on the spot. And it's all about listening to your scene partner and really responding and being really present. And I get in my head sometimes when I'm presenting material that it has to be presented a specific way, and in my head around doing it perfectly. So I think the more improvisational it becomes, the more comfortable I feel. And I would like to get to a place where I can feel like that when I'm at a more structured, more prepared event. I'm working on it and I'm getting better.
You mentioned about when an opportunity comes up now, you go, yes, I'll go for it. And then you move into can I, can't I? I'm interested, when you get that very first invitation to do something, where's the sense of I'm going to do it coming from? Is it a head? Is it a heart? Where does that very instantaneous response come from?
That's a really good question. I think it's overriding my first instinct, because my first instinct is always to avoid. It's a habit that I've had most of my life. I think it's okay because I'm aware of it. If I acted on every avoidant tendency I had and never did anything, that would be a problem. But being aware of it is okay. I really believe that I want to grow and I want to be a better version of myself, and I want to expand my capacity. And so I do think that this saying yes, because I'm feeling avoidant, if I'm wanting to avoid something, that's a sign to me that I probably should do it. Not in a dangerous way. I don't know, go swim with the sharks or anything, but definitely in some of these more psychologically safe environments. It's recognizing my past, recognizing that the way that I kept myself safe was by playing small. The way I kept myself safe was by sticking with the status quo and not doing big things, big, bold things where I'm exposing myself to the world and to potential criticism or judgment. But recognizing that actually, if I want to grow, I do have to do these things. It will become something that it's fun, it becomes fun to go, okay, here goes, let's do it.
So that's a really good point. I love that. So what do you think it will take to shift it from avoidance to, wow, this is going to be fun, let's just go for it?
Really good question. I'm not there yet. Maybe as I continue to do more, that I'll recognize that it becomes the comfort, the habit. You try this thing, it's a great experience. It's going to be valuable regardless. And obviously I'm going to weigh up if it's actually dangerous. But I do think that I will get to a place where my first instinct is not avoid and then go forward. But I'll get to a place where my first instinct will be to say, yeah, I am recognizing those opportunities when they get offered to me. And so when with the podcast, it was, that sounds scary. And me going, oh, this is a great opportunity, it's like, it's pretty close. It's like, oh, scary, exciting. And it's almost simultaneous.
That gets back to what you were saying before, Sarah. It's honoring all parts of you. And then it's not necessarily bad to go, oh, scary. That's a beautiful part of you that exists. And as you say, it also almost simultaneously exists with a part of you that goes, oh yeah, but this is exciting, or this can be exciting. It's getting to a place where those two parts can coexist beautifully. And as you say, if they're not holding you back, then it's honoring both responses.
Yeah, I agree. It's like being kind to both parts of me, and not letting the fear avoidant part drive the bus. Basically, like you can sit in the back seat, but it's not sitting on my lap.
I love that.
Yeah, great analogy. One of the things that I'm getting from all of this discussion, Sarah, that you're talking about is one of the greatest gifts that you've given yourself is to become really self-aware of all of your patterns. And as soon as you've become self-aware, it's been giving you more choice.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I was thinking about that earlier, that being self-aware is doing the self-discovery work is the greatest gift that you can give to yourself. Even knowing about how the brain works for me, understanding when this happens, when I get scared, I lose access to the thinking part of my brain, the part of my brain that has empathy. And just being aware of that is really helpful. And so then I'm less critical of myself because I know, oh, you responded in that way. And then it makes sense that you weren't able to be rational, knowing my patterns. And it's so interesting because now I'm really clear on my story, my path, and I never was before. There was always this secret shame. This company I work for, they hire a lot of Olympians. And I thought, oh, I have to have this story about going from strength to strength and all how successful I have been and, and will be. And what I love is in this company, they've really embraced my whole story. The value of the acknowledgement, the self-awareness of knowing my sense of self-worth was really tangled up with my achievement. That and the feelings that I had because of that, valuable. That I didn't have to pretend, oh yeah, look at how successful I was as an Olympian. So now I can help you because I can help you also be successful. When I first joined, I felt a little disingenuous. I can't tell that story. But now I have this coherent narrative of understanding myself and understanding my life and the path that I've taken. I can have that bird's eye view, that curiosity and that interest in, oh, it makes sense that you did this because of the way you're feeling or because of the past experiences. I think it's been really helpful, that self-awareness.
Love the analogy you had in the bus. It's almost like I am the bus and I have all these different elements or parts of me in the bus, and it's still there and it's still my narrative, but I don't need whoever used to be the bus driver in the past to be the bus driver now, but it's still part of my bus. It's still part of who I am, and honoring that. And it sounds like it's been really comforting's coming to mind, that this company is embracing all of you. This is Sarah. Yeah. This is who she is. And we don't need to hide any of the people. This is her story and who she is.
Yeah, I feel like I can be my whole self. Greg and I, my husband and I, we watched Inside Out 2 recently, and they talk a lot about this idea of the belief of not being good enough. And the little girl is, what's the teenager in this one? She's talking about not being good enough. And my husband looked at me and he said, "You're good enough." And I said, "I know. I think a while ago, I wouldn't have felt like that."
And isn't it interesting too, Sarah? I want to draw again on what Jo was just talking about. In your bus is that sense of avoidance that is there to serve you when you need it. If you've been confronted by a saber-toothed tiger, you want to avoid it. Exactly. But instead of it being a bad thing, you can reframe it and integrate it into all of who you are with all of the other things. That's what sometimes we forget, that everything plays a role in the most appropriate time. It's just over the years we've learnt to bring certain things in that outplay that shouldn't be there in those moments. When there's not a tiger, you don't need to have avoidance.
Absolutely. And I think to me it's inspecting it. I'm having this maybe it's an intuition, or I'm having this sense that this is dangerous, and not just going with it. Oh, I have to be hypervigilant, but being able to say, I wonder where that's coming from. Is that true in this situation? Is it actually dangerous? Is it unsafe for me? Is that just me avoiding because it's safe to be in the status quo? Or is it something that I really need to worry about? And so being aware of where it's coming from, where my beliefs are coming from, where my feelings are coming from, and just choosing. Like, I feel like it's more choiceful. I feel like I get to choose instead of being dragged around and the decisions being made for me because of my feelings and my experiences that led to those feelings.
So I guess the next question is, knowing what you know now, what you've shared with us and your journey and your growth and your self-reflection, what message would you give your 10-year-old self?
10-year-old girls are the boldest, strongest, most courageous, incredible people. There's a reason why, I don't know if you remember Harriet the Spy when we were little. Like, there was Harriet the Spy, there was Beezus and Ramona. They were all about that age. That's 8 to 10-year-old girls. Now, they didn't care. World could tell them no, and they're like, yes, I'm going to do it. And I think that age, when they're just coming into adolescence, I would want them to know that this is coming, that your brain is going to think that you have to change yourself to fit in, that basically that you should decide who you want to be, and know that these worries you have about other people judging you, it's not real. At 10, 11, 12, if I'd known that that was coming, I wouldn't have been so blindsided by it. I wouldn't have taken it on, because I would have known, oh, this was coming. This was going to try and keep me small. And this is what my mum told me, or this is what, my older self, my future self told me. Knowing that you're in charge of your life, and there will be nature, your hormones, and this self-consciousness and worrying what other people think of you, this will come because that just is nature. And that by understanding that, they can choose how they want to create their life and not be buffeted by that.
Wow.
Great message.
Fantastic. What's the greatest gift that your experience, the whole life experience that we've been talking about, has given you?
Well, I actually think it's what we talked about earlier, is this gift of self-awareness, of like going through the process and really recognizing that, and it's self-awareness and self-acceptance. Previously, I got the self-awareness first, and that was fine. It's like understanding where I came from, but then it's forgiving myself and accepting the whole person that is me, like every part of me, and not just the bits that are acceptable. Accepting the things that are from the outside would be deemed acceptable.
That's a fantastic gift, and lovely that you've been able to recognize that now and stand back and see that it has in fact been a gift. And so, to wrap up, what are your top 3 tips?
Oh, okay. I might have 4. One is about taking the long view, taking that bird's eye view and looking at everything in having that perspective, and not being so caught up in the little what's happening right now, what I'm afraid of, and being able to say, where did this come from? Where does it fit in? How is it impacting my life? How is it causing me to play small? So both where you're coming from and where you're going to, and really thinking about how it's impacting you. Another one would be having compassion for yourself, that whole self-compassion process of being mindful and aware of your feelings. That's what you were saying earlier, Anne, with how it feels in your body. So being mindful and aware of that, recognizing that we're not alone, that I'm only human. And then that part of self-kindness, just really treating yourself like you treat a friend. That has been key for me. So bird's eye view, self-compassion, and then getting comfortable with discomfort. Like, just being okay, just recognizing just because you're uncomfortable doesn't mean it's bad. And that it's okay to build your capacity and to get to a place where you can have that choice, make choices because you're looking at it thoughtfully and not because you're instinctively going away from something because of your fear. And then the fourth one, which of course, because I can't just do three, was this idea of being curious. And that's part of the long view too. It's like being curious about where it's coming from and understanding yourself so that you're not being buffeted by that.
Love them.
Really wise words, Sarah. It's been a real joy having this conversation today. Thank you for your openness and your willingness to dive deep with Jo and I. It's been a great delight.
I've loved it. Thank you. It's so interesting to me to think now how really I understand myself and to be able to have a conversation with you too and go, oh yeah, I actually know myself. Whereas a year or two ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it in such a way, like I wouldn't have understood myself so much.
Fantastic.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, that's our episode for today of What's Fear Got to Do with It. Thanks so much for your company. We hope you found it insightful and some great points for you to reflect on. Hit subscribe to follow us on your favourite podcast platform and leave a review. We'd love to know your thoughts. Maybe you would like to be a guest or you know someone or even don't know someone but you'd love to hear their story. Reach out to us on Insta at whatsfear_podcast or email us at info@whatsfear.com. And all of today's guest details, including their tips, are in the show notes below. So until next time, from Jo and I, stay curious, take care, and keep the conversation going.